Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are we getting on? We have some more Fallout 76 news today. We've got some very, very cool stuff coming up, including a look at the cool events coming up this weekend. There's a few more than we thought. And a look at some of the new features coming with the Camp Shelters update. This is some new stuff that we've not seen before, and a little insight into what it's going to look like when it finally releases in December. So let's jump in and take a look, shall we? Okay then, so we have a new Inside the Vault blog post, and Bethesda have shared a few extra details about the Camp Shelters feature, including a look at some of the things that are not currently available that should be coming at launch, some very cool new things that we've been speculating about, and answered a few little questions, so I'm going to have a close look at that in just a moment. But before we do that, we're going to take a closer look at some of the other aspects of today's blog post and the news coming up about Fallout, so let's jump in. Fallout 76 Inside the Vault, Camp Shelters Dev Dive, and Halloween events. Very cool. So, first on this list is the Camp Shelter stuff, but I'm actually going to move on to that in a minute because we've got a bit of detail that I want to take a closer look at, so we'll get through the shorter stuff first. So, this weekend, Fashion Act, Double XP, and Purveyor Sale. So we knew they were going to do Fashion Act weekend this time for a Halloween event in place of Mischief Night, which is not up to the standard they want it to be, so they haven't been able to improve that over the last year with everything else they've been working on. They've brought Fashion Act back for the weekend. Very, very cool. But the extra bits that we didn't know about until now is that we're having another Double XP to follow the one we had last weekend, and a Purveyor Sale again to also follow the one we had last weekend. So very, very cool. They've bolstered up the Halloween celebrations a little bit, which is nice. I'm pleased to see this stuff. It's cool. It doesn't really affect the score, but on the other hand, Double XP means you can get the weekly earn 10,000 XP repeatable score challenge done more easily, obviously in half the time. So certainly an opportunity to advance a little more in Armor Ace and the Power Patrol, should you like to. So, those times are Fashion Act Parade, Double XP in all game modes, and 25% off Purveyor Sale, starting at 12 PM Eastern Time on October 29th. There's a little asterisk on here. And ending at 12 PM Eastern Time on November the 2nd. So that is Thursday today, running through till Monday. If you are in the UK, courtesy of the clocks being awkward as usual, that means a 4 o'clock start and end time for this particular weekend. And to be even more awkward, that's going to change again in a few weeks. Not sure what this asterisk is all about. That's a bit strange. There doesn't seem to be anything here giving any more detail on it, so okay. We'll just have to assume that's a typo then. So, 4K Steel Dawn artwork now available. Jeff Gardner, project lead on 76, actually shared this on Twitter yesterday, which is very cool. I've actually got it as a wallpaper over here already, which is something I'm quite happy about. It's looking pretty sweet over there on my vertical monitor. But if you happen to have spotted the artwork for the new trailer last week, it looks absolutely awesome. And when you actually look really close up, it's a painting as opposed to, or it looks like a painting anyway, as opposed to any other style of digital art. So that's really, really cool. The 4K version is available to download. You head over to Bethesda and find it on there. It's really cool. It's absolutely gorgeous. Quite a few people on Twitter were saying, can we get a bigger version of this? Because it's really, really nice. And it's kind of begging to be used as a thumbnail, but at the same time, I'd feel bad for doing that. It's a little bit too personal a piece of art, I think, for me. Maybe I'm being oversensitive. Maybe I should be more sensitive. I don't know. But that's just how I feel about it. Either way, makes damn good wallpaper. So here's your opportunity to grab it if you'd like. And yeah, really, really impressed by this. So that is available if you want the 4K version. Visit the Steel Dawn page on Fallout.com, scroll down to the Screenshots tab in the Media section. It's actually right down the bottom of that page. You do have to look for it a little bit. And hit the download button to grab a copy of the art for yourself. Which is probably a good time to remind you that the link to this post will be down in the description as well. If you want to do that, head over and read all about this and get to the right place. And until next time, we'll see you in Appalachia. So we can jump back to the start in just a moment. Yeah, this is really, really cool. A couple of people on Twitter in particular were asking if they could have a handle for the person who actually did the work so that they can follow them on Twitter and Instagram and whatever else. They haven't provided one, which makes me think it was probably done by one of the art team, actually on the clock, specifically for Bethesda, sort of in-house, rather than being a personal project. It was probably directly commissioned from that individual by Bethesda. As opposed to if they went outside the company for it, I think they'd have been more willing to share that person's profiles then. That's just my hunch. There's no real evidence there to back it up. It's just a feeling I've got. But yeah, we'd certainly like to know who that person is so we can give them a massive thumbs up because this is an awesome piece of artwork. So, moving on. The Camp Shelters update that we have here So we have a dev dive video, which is a couple of the devs who've been working on it, who, as it turns out, are actually people who originally worked on Nuclear Winter and then moved from that onto Camp Shelters, which is very cool. A couple of people I haven't encountered before, which is interesting. And we've got these two talking about the ins and outs of Camp Shelters. A lot of it is stuff we were aware of before. There's a couple of things in there that they've mentioned that are sort of concerns that we've had that haven't been covered before. For example, concerns around it being just a decorating thing. They're talking about how much more flexible it is with actually building in the space. Again, it's not massively news, but there's a couple of little things in there that are quite nice to see. So, as I say, link down below if you want to come over and watch this. It's also on Bethesda's YouTube page, so if you want to watch it there, you can do. I would strongly suggest you do, because there's some very interesting stuff in here. What I'm going to do now is I have cut this all down so it's just the shots of the Camp Shelters as opposed to the talking heads. And we're going to have a look at some of the cool new stuff that makes it a bit shorter, especially as I'm about to add a little more to the length of it. So it's very, very cool. There's new items, new little bits and pieces, a new building set, and some other very, very cool things in here that we're going to take a little look at. And there's an interesting thought on sort of a way of thinking as well. But we'll get to that in just a moment. So let's fire this thing up and have a look, shall we? Okay then. So, for those of you wondering why I'm covering up so much of the screen with a face cam, short version, I'm kind of not. The devs' face cam's here anyway, so you're not missing anything you wouldn't already be doing. So, having a little look around at shelters that we've already seen so far, and I'll jump into taking a look at some of the new stuff that has been done by some of the Q&A team and some of the staff inside Bethesda, which is really, really cool. So, let's just pause that a minute, take that back a little. There we go. First look, this is the vault lobby. So, in terms of new stuff, we can see somebody's done a really nice job of using sort of the structures in here. I've said before that I think building a house inside a self-contained structure like a vault makes no sense at all, and it definitely doesn't, but some things here that I really like the windows and stuff around the stairs. That looks really, really cool. I think this has come out of the greenhouse set. So, I did mention just before that one of the cool things about this is a need, I suppose, to change the way at least I think about building. Certainly with every time Bethesda have changed the building system so far, you look at its first introduction of Fallout 4, then the addition of mods on after that, then the change to 76 was a big change, and now this as well. It's sort of required an adjustment in the thought process, so not really surprised that that's kind of the case here, but it's really cool to see some interesting stuff. Like we've got some plants and trees in here. We've managed to get the raider cage in on the left there. That's very, very cool as well. A few other bits and pieces, but it's mostly just dressed up vault for the moment, but they've managed to get a good impression. One of the cool things about it is it's actually kind of inspired me a little bit for what I'm probably going to do in the atrium on down the line. And now if you've been wondering what I'm going to do with that, that is basically the idea of I've been struggling because it's such a big vault-themed space that I kind of can't get past that in some ways, so coming up with something that's going to work in there is a challenge. This is going to kind of highlight doing the opposite of what your brain kind of wants to do, or at least my brain wants to do, which is seeing the whole space and just kind of focusing on a small section of it and saying, what can I do in this corner? What can I do here? And then building up sections and creating something from that, which is kind of cool in the sense that normally I build structures that have kind of a theme or an idea behind the whole build and the whole thing's cohesive. This kind of suits going the other direction and just building whatever, which is fine. It's not normally the way I approach things, but it's possibly a good incentive to get outside of my usual wheelhouse, which is quite cool. So let's push on a bit. Look here. So, we got anything new in here? I don't know that we do just yet. We've got a few mixes, bits and pieces. Definitely decorating the existing space. I think we're inside the atrium here, and they've basically just, it looks like peering through the door there. They've basically just built a massive dividing structure in the middle, which is quite cool. Again, as I say, really helps the old close it down and think about smaller areas rather than the big space thing, which is quite cool. Move on a little bit. Again, we've got more of the stuff we've seen before. And yes, this is very, very interesting. So, as predicted, I think to nobody's surprise, it looks like we are getting a vault-themed building set. This is definitely new material, stuff we haven't built with before. It's very, very cool to see. Looks like most of this footage is Xbox-based, or at least Xbox controller in use, which is interesting. But very, very cool to see that we are going to get that vault-themed set that we were predicting. I'd be very surprised if we didn't, given the theme of the shelters that we have so far. Yeah, we've got some new floors in there, some new railings, some new walls, looking very cool. They've mixed the greenhouse into it there as well, which is interesting. Very cool. It's already zoomed in by Bethesda, apparently, which is interesting. Highlighting some of this new stuff. Yeah, some little walkways there. Doing interesting things. They're talking about the freedom to place things anywhere and that you can snap if you want, but you don't have to. That's quite a cool idea. It certainly allows you to get a bit more creative, which is what the goal was here. And it does work, I think. Certainly, as I say, requires a change in approach and mentality, but it's very, very cool. So that's interesting. Let's go back and take a quick look at that something we saw there. What was that? Some kind of experiment going on here on the left. Not quite sure what's in that jar. Not quite sure I want to know, but certainly for a lab kind of setup, that would be cool. You see we've got some more vault stuff down the bottom here. Exit zone sign, as well as some more of the floors and the walls just sat at the back there. So a little look at some of the new stuff. Very cool. Some cool new signs going in. Always good. Some of the recent stuff that's been in the Atomic Shop as well. That's cool. And some of the stuff that's coming out with the Steel Dawn update there with some of the signs as well that we covered the other day. I'll throw a link up to that video. So, wandering into a more decorated space. Let's have a little look. There's some really cool stuff here. These consoles that we can see kicking around. So we'll see the back on the left there and the front on the right. These are a new edition that we don't currently have. That's very, very cool to see. We can get some new building and decoration items there. I don't recognise that nuclear winter statue on the left. I'm guessing it's for reaching rank 100, which I have not done. So I assume that's what it is, but this is very, very cool. I think this is inside the vault shelter, the smallest free space. See, the lobby and the atrium will be paid spaces because server costs. So, yeah, it's cool to see some of the new stuff in here. This is getting pretty cool. What we got here? I think this is mostly stuff we've seen before. Nice little bit of decoration. Some Valentine's themed wallpaper in there. Don't know if that's old or new. Got a few cool bits and pieces here as well. Using some of the more recent additions in the Atomic Shop. Some traps and stuff, which is quite cool. I'm guessing those tables are from the White Spring. I haven't seen them myself, but I'm missing about half the plans from there, so that's cool. Another look at some of the vault doorways here, which we've actually seen before in a recent video. But that's very cool. Some more of the walls there on the sides as well. They were talking about being able to push objects into each other with reduced collision issues and sort of softened edges on them, which is very, very cool. It opens up some flexibility, building things out of other things that they wanted to talk about. I'm going to pause that there because clean toilet, we've mentioned that before, but the ability to float things, we've got that bookcase up on the wall, which looks pretty cool, as well as the window a little further up there. I'm guessing they've stacked two half walls there. But the fact they've managed to get some stuff onto the shelves there is interesting. I don't imagine, because from what I understand this is a Q&A tester's build, that they've been Q&A testing glitches. I think they'll be trying to remove those, not test whether or not they still work. So how they've managed to do this, I don't know. I'm going to assume it's a collision thing. They've literally just placed the objects floating and then either turn the snapping off and been able to place them directly on, or maybe glitch the bookcase through afterwards. I'm going to think that they've probably put the bookcase there first and then turned the snapping off, and that's let them get the stuff onto the shelves, which is cool. That's good to know about. It certainly opens up some decoration options, which is really cool to see. So, I don't think we've got much new here. Back into the lobby, a little close up. That's cool. Use of the floating elements there with the lights and stuff. You're going to have to duck under in a moment. These Raider totems at the bottom, I'm not sure if I missed out on these before, or if they look like something that was available in Fallout 4 that might be making a comeback in future, maybe. That'd be very, very cool. I don't think I've missed out on these in the past. I don't recognise them. I would definitely be happy to have more things like that. That's very, very cool. Yeah, I'd love to know how they managed to get the spooky lights there lined up straight. I assume they must have had a wall or something as a guide, but yeah, how you do that and keep them straight, that's thinking outside the box. So somebody in Bethesda has been working very hard on this, which is very, very cool. I'm sure a lot of people have, to be fair, give them the credit where it's due. So, is this a new wallpaper we've got in the background? That's looks to be communist themed. I don't know, it could be a Fallout First thing, but definitely not something I've seen before. That bright red, communist themed, liberator themed wallpaper. That's very striking, very, very interesting. A few more bits and pieces on the walls there. Bottle and cappy stuff. I don't recall seeing that either, and that looks like a Christmas tree, which might be an upcoming thing for this Christmas, or possibly a returning item, not sure. But I'm going to guess that's something new, because I don't recognise it. This thing we've got in the middle is definitely new. Some kind of bridge. I think they mentioned something about bridges being something that are going to make an appearance with the updated system, along with this update, which is going to be December. So that's very, very cool. Definitely something we'll be very happy to see, the ability to put proper bridges and then, who knows, maybe build them into walls and things like that. Like junk walls and the like. That'll be very, very cool. Good update for the system there. Some cool ceiling fans. I've not seen these before. They look like they're off some of the stuff you see at places like Anchor Farm. Like little windmills turned into ceiling fans, which is cool. A little bit more of a look at the vault flooring here that we're going to be getting. Oh, hang on. Let's go back. That was interesting. We're coming up the stairs there. Is this... this looks like a new skin of fusion core generator. This green thing here on the right. That's very, very... That's very Fallout. It's also a little bit... I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. It's definitely the right era. The kind of 50s rounded edges, big bulky look. It reminds me of something else as well. It's very cool though. I like it a lot. I'm thinking from behind the rail there's possibly a Chinese vibe going on here. A little star on it. See if I can bring that up better for you in a moment, but having some difficulty right now. But that is very, very cool. Definitely liking the look of that. Come up round here. Nothing much new there. Some Halloween stuff. Little look down from above on the vault lobby that we've seen before. Clearly somebody at Bethesda has impressed them a lot. This is very, very cool. One thing that we've noticed early on is that the shelter entrances, particularly the vault utility room, that little hatch to get in there, didn't sink into foundations at first. I'm not surprised to see some of these things improving as the PTS goes on. In fact, there was actually an update to it today, I believe, which is cool. But you see they now actually clip through the foundations and don't stick up like get blocky, horrible sort of lumps in the way. So that's definitely an improvement there. I like that a lot. It's a good move. So we've got some new Brotherhood of Steel stuff making an appearance down here at the bottom. That's very, very cool. Definitely looking forward to getting hands on some new Brotherhood of Steel themed camp stuff. We've seen a few bits and pieces that are coming with Steel Dawn. This just sort of indicates more stuff that we haven't yet seen, which is not really a surprise, but very cool. So we've got here. I think more stuff that we've seen before, just glitched together in interesting ways, but very cool nonetheless. Little bar that they've done the same sort of thing with. Using this space quite well. Obviously, this is obviously an upper level in the atrium, actually. That looks like the atrium ceiling up there. So they've done some interesting stuff up here. Made good use of the space. Squeezed a tent in there on the right. With the shooting range from the current season there on the left. Some Halloween decorations as well. Very cool. Still no covers for that bed, though. Yeah. I'm liking the look of this a lot. So not vast amounts of new stuff, but there's some cool stuff in here as well. Talking about the ability to either repair everything or scrap everything if you want to start again from the control panel. You usually found by the entrance of each shelter. Just a handy little feature. Definitely more convenient. Ooh, what's that? Egyptian-looking statue there. Possibly dogs, actually. These could be sort of feral dog look. It's got a distinct Anubis vibe in this lighting. That's very, very cool. Cool-looking new statue there. Nice. And then we have another look at the apparently snappable modular consoles, which is cool. Definitely happy to have those. Those are going to look great. Gonna be able to do some good stuff with that. Put a few stash boxes in. Yeah, it does look like maybe a dog meat statue, possibly. That would be cool. These are the lights. Most of this, I think, is stuff we've seen before. A few Atomic Shop bits and pieces there as well. Some freebies, some not. That's new. Yellow light. I haven't seen that before. New option for wall lighting. Notice they've managed to reduce the brightness of the existing lighting, possibly using this vault building set here. I'm not sure if it's that or if it's just they've included an option to dim the existing lights or remove the existing lights. I'm hoping for the latter. That's one of the issues I do have with it, particularly the atrium. It's so big and bright, and you can't do much with the existing lighting. That, or at least on the test server, as far as I can see so far. So definitely having the ability to reduce that, so you can sort of design your own lighting scheme, is definitely an improvement. There's that very cool yellow light. Plushies, a few more disturbing bits and pieces going in there. Yeah, see a few more bits and pieces, vault signs and the like. That's cool. Wheelchair that we touched on last time as well. Yeah, that is a very, very disturbing letterbox, mailbox. In the shape of a sea bass, I'm guessing. Yeah, that's all kinds of messed up. I'm also inclined to believe that sort of thing really exists, so I would be very surprised if it doesn't. This is very, very cool. Looking at a little stage build here. We've got a stage coming that we saw earlier in the week in Steel Dawn. This is a different version that appears to have no foundation on it, which is cool. A different floor texture as well, which is very, very nice as well. Options are always welcome. Liking the little kind of stage curtains and the girder there. Not quite sure what's going on. I'm thinking that's probably a single unit that's all part of the stage. But certainly with the way the curtains look in there, as they're individual ones rather than a set of curtains that have sort of been glitched in. So that's pretty cool. Definitely wouldn't mind getting my hands on that. Looks like we can do some good stuff with that. Heck, you can even make an interesting gateway to your camp with that. That's cool. So we've got a boxing ring down there as well. Somehow, big thing in the forefront that I managed to miss. Always welcome. Did a cool build on that theme in Fallout 4 quite some time ago now. Yeah, definitely make use of that. Some more flooring there that I don't think I've seen before. Cool to see that they've managed to get the plants and stuff in here. What have we got back here? A couple of interesting sort of palm-looking things at the back. That's the Armor Ace game board on the wall there. Some new sort of plants and decoration items for the camp there. Definitely welcome. That's cool. Very sort of bright and plastic looking though. Although, some Valentine's balloons. I have a feeling I've seen these before and I've missed them. So that's what I'm guessing is going on here. Very, very cool stuff. Really nice lighting job done here. That's one good thing about the utility room in particular. It's a really awesome space and build using that space, which is cool. They've really crammed this place full. One of the Q&A team, from what I understand this. Not so much on those shelves, but looking cool. From what I understand, this is a fully completed budget. This is worth a mention, apart from looking very cool, and nice use of the fog machine as well, which I did actually experiment with for the Halloween build coming on the weekend. Which is kind of obnoxiously huge. They've managed to conceal it a bit with the flamethrowers. There was one thing that was mentioned very early on, is the potential for sort of griefing and abuse with people setting up unavoidable death traps just inside their shelters. It looks like that problem still persists, because those flamethrowers are right there in front of the entrance. This is exactly where you spawn in, so they've clearly not done anything about that yet. But yeah, I definitely think that needs to be removed. That's a good way to annoy people. People turn up, get killed, they can't get back in there and get the stuff. They can't get any the junk they've dropped because they'll just die immediately again. So definitely open to abuse. That needs some work, that, or removal in short. But nonetheless, thematically, it's very, very cool. Progress on into the next room, which I think this brings us more or less towards the end. Okay, so a lot of very, very cool details in there. Some really cool stuff in terms of sort of getting outside of the way I think, for one, and using these massive spaces in different ways, which is really, really cool. Sort of building small sections and sectioning them off and then making a larger build out of that, which is something I may toy with in future. You never know, that might even have to become a stream, but that looks really, really cool. There's some interesting stuff there. Interesting little look at the upcoming vault building system, which we kind of knew was going to happen, but very cool to see for the first time as well. So looking forward to getting my hands on that. There's definitely a themed build coming out of that for sure. Looking forward to it. Some cool new items, a couple of new bits and pieces, some probably the atomic shop. Good use of some of the stuff that we've not seen in a while as well, which is cool. So there's some very, very nice stuff there. There's two very cool things about this. Obviously, this is showing that most of the atomic shop stuff is going to be there, which is very, very cool. A couple of things we didn't see, though, that are slightly concerning, is there's no display cases in any of those shots, and there are also no crops growing in there, despite the fact that, as it currently stands, we can put farmable dirt tiles in there. So, not sure if Bethesda are going down the road of not allowing you to have those in there. There may be a technical issue behind this, but you can access your stash in there, and you are going to be using the stash's resources to build in there anyway, so there's no particular reason why they couldn't set that up. So hopefully Bethesda are not going to go down the road of preventing us using display cases or putting crops in there, because again, there's plenty of people who won't want to build above ground or just want to build a single self-contained camp that has everything they need inside their shelter, including using the farmable dirt tiles, stuff like that, and then just be able to move the door wherever they want. It's a really nice workaround for the blueprinting system that's currently there. Speaking of, in my personal opinion, this completely makes the blueprinting system even more redundant than it was in the first place, so let's have that out of here, please, Bethesda. That thing needs to go. It should never have been there in the first place. So, definitely be glad to see that. It's not going to happen, but yeah, they need to do it. So, certainly camp shelters make a whole camp underground that is much easier to move than a blueprinted structure because you just have to move the door. So, as I say, that system has basically become somewhat redundant now. And yeah, I know a lot of people glitch with it and use it to get around some of the restrictions in the camp system, but that's not an advert for the blueprint system. That's an advert for fixing the camp system. So, it still needs to go. But before I get too ranty, yeah, very, very cool. Nice to see some interesting new things. It looks like the shelters are coming along nicely, so I'm going to wrap this one up here as I've been rambling about this for quite long enough, and I'm sure this video is going to take some time to cut down to a manageable size. So, I will say thank you very much for watching. I do hope you guys found this useful and informative. If you did, please do consider dropping likes and subs. It's hugely appreciated. If you'd like to, social media links, merch store, and channel memberships are all available down below the video as well. If you want to support the channel in that way, it is humongously helpful and appreciated. So massive thanks to everybody who's done that already. And if you get the chance, do join us for some live streams as well. We're playing Horizon Zero Dawn. Story's really picking up pace now. I'm having great fun with that. That's this evening. We've got Fallout coming up tomorrow. I'm going to jump into Fashion Act. And on down the line, we've got some more Prey coming up and Cyberpunk eventually when it finally comes out. So, I hope you'll join us for that. But for now, thank you very much for watching, and I look forward to speaking to you all very, very soon.